I'm Dan Warfel. I work as a family services coordinator here at Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity. I've been here for pushing 7 years, and I'm glad that I ended up here. I started out in Iowa as a volunteer. After college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to work with people and try to make the world a better place, but I had no idea how to go about it and was just kind of hoping something would fall in my lap. And I decided to volunteer and take on a civil service experience with AmeriCorps. And through that experience, I ended up working with Habitat in a couple different capacities. One, they were a grantee of the state organization that I worked with. And two, I ended up making a good friend in the Habitat Restore who told me a lot about the work that they do here. And after my AmeriCorps term, I was faced with a decision. I could go back home to Illinois, where I'm from, or I could stay here in Iowa. And I'd really grew to love Des Moines as a city and Iowa as a state, and I really was looking for a reason to stay. And so the Restore had an open opportunity, and I took the first chance I could get to get my foot in the door here at Habitat and take part in the work that they do. I loved my work at the Restore. I worked at the Restore for a year and a half. I got to work with donors. I had an experience as a Restore receiving associate where a neighbor of mine down the street had purchased a railing, a whole entire railing that was donated to us. And I did not know that that was them. I'd never met this neighbor, but I drove home that evening, and as I was pulling up the street to park next to my apartment, they were installing this railing on the front of their house. I'm like, wow, I just sold this to you. And that was my first connection with how Habitat builds community in Des Moines, especially with the Restore and reusing things. And that's a big part of that. The sustainability in that means a lot to me too, because that's part of my background as well. But through the Restore, I was introduced to the families that we work with. And I volunteered with them regularly or I worked with them as they were volunteering regularly, doing their sweat equity hours. And every week, every Saturday, we'd have a big group of people in, and it was always fun meeting folks who were working through the program, hearing about their stories, and listening to them talk about their homeownership journey. And that passion and enjoyment of working with people that we serve led me to apply for the family services position in 2015. Since then, it's changed. It's changed my life. You know, I put a lot into my work because I think that the people we serve deserve that. So I guess it was a new experience because that's kind of what I was looking for. When I say I was looking for something to fall into my lap, I was looking for work that I could feel comfortable pouring myself into, and that's what I've done since I've started in family services. I dedicate my time to being an advocate for families who are in the program, to helping answer their questions as they go through this journey of homeownership that is not only scary to folks who know about homeownership or grew up with families that own homes, but especially to people who have never had an experience with that before, don't have family that own homes, don't know what that process looks like. And so we get people from all over the world. It's a little microcosm of all sorts of countries here in Des Moines. We're hosting classes this year, starting up for the first classes in a couple months, and there are 6 different languages represented in the class, which is just amazing to me that we get homeowners from that many different walks of life. But one of my favorite experiences with homeowners is recently I worked with a woman from Sudan, and she is a single mother and has children that she looks after and works nights or did work nights and was struggling with the time that she needed to commit to being able to buying a house with Habitat. And she looked at me at one point and said, Dan, I don't know if I can do this. And she's a strong person, and I knew it from the very first moment that she started the program, because she was so dedicated to making sure that she had this opportunity. And you know, we worked through it together, and I told her, I know that you can do this, you've come this far, let's finish out And she did, and she pushed all the way through it and ended up in her home right before Christmas this past year in 2019. And her experience and what she had to say about her journey to homeownership was really moving to anybody who attended it. And she bought a renovated house in a neighborhood with a lot of houses that need renovation, but her house turned out really nice, and her family fit there perfectly. And matching people up with the homeownership opportunity that they're looking for or that they need has been so rewarding for me as somebody who works with families and family services. And it's a privilege for us to do that work. I feel really lucky that we have the opportunity to meet people where they are and fill a need that's needed so badly in this community. And that's why I do what I do, because people need it and because their families are better off with the homeownership opportunity. One of my favorite experiences after the fact is to walk into somebody's home after it's become theirs, because even as Habitat gets done painting something, you got fresh paint and clean counters, and really it's not a home until somebody moves in. And visiting over 50 homeowners that I've worked with in my time in the program in their houses afterwards to check in and see how things are going and what they've learned from being a homeowner for 2 months or for a year. Everybody puts their heart and soul into making their home their own. And it really makes a difference once you walk through and see that people have made this house theirs. They've really taken it and run with it, and they've gardened and they build sheds and garages and take every opportunity. One of my favorite houses is in the east side of Des Moines, and it's a very small lot, but the family does the best that they can with it. And so lining up to the very front door is a row of sunflowers that are taller than people. It's a hallway of sunflowers that leads up to their house, and they have all sorts of decorations, and they've just used every square inch of that property to make it their own. And so that's how seriously our families take homeownership. It is their opportunity to finally have their space and to make a place their own. And that is worth fighting for and worth working for.